You ever get that feeling that someone already knows the next move before it even happens? That's exactly what's shaking the culture right now, and it's got fans everywhere talking. Allegedly, Kendrick Lamar had insight into moves by Drake and J. Cole that nobody saw coming. And now, a timeline that's circulating online is supposedly proof that Kendrick was 3 steps ahead the entire time. Fans are shocked because this isn't just music chatter. It's alleged strategy, backstage drama, and a web of events that reads like a thriller. The story began quietly, with subtle posts, cryptic social media activity, and rumored studio sessions. But then, things started aligning. Tracks dropping, unexpected features, and social media teases that, when pieced together, paint a picture of Kendrick predicting the moves of 2 of the biggest names in rap. Emotions ran high because this is more than fan speculation. Insiders are claiming timelines, DM leaks, and exclusive studio reports all point to one thing. Kendrick knew exactly what Drake and J. Cole were about to do, and he may have even influenced it behind the scenes. Fans are shocked because the timeline isn't just a list of events. It's a story of alliances, rivalries, and secret communications that the public has never seen. Every post, every story, every snippet of a track suddenly takes on new meaning. Emotions ran high as the internet tried to piece together these breadcrumbs, with heated debates about whether Kendrick was orchestrating, anticipating, or simply observing. And now, the family of fans, those who have tracked every move of Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick for years, is left divided, trying to figure out what's real, what's strategy, and what could blow up next. This isn't just another rap news story. This is a deep dive into the moves of legends, and what you're about to see might change everything you thought you knew about the power plays in the rap game. It all started with whispers, small, seemingly inconsequential observations that only the most attentive fans could catch. Social media lit up when insiders began hinting at a connection between Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and J. Cole that nobody could quite put their finger on. Allegedly, Kendrick had been aware of the moves Drake and Cole were planning months in advance: studio sessions, feature negotiations, even the timing of social media teases. And now, a timeline of events had started circulating online, suggesting that every step they took was already anticipated. Fans are shocked because this wasn't speculation about music. This was about strategy, foresight, and a level of influence that few could imagine. It began quietly with posts that seemed casual, a snippet of a studio session here, a cryptic tweet there, and some behind-the-scenes footage that only a few followers noticed. But when these moments were pieced together on forums and fan pages, the pattern became clear. Kendrick's presence in the background seemed deliberate. Some alleged insiders claimed that studio sources confirmed Kendrick had been in discussions about upcoming releases and collaborations, not as a participant, but as someone who could predict and, in some ways, guide the direction. Emotions ran high as fans debated whether this was strategic brilliance or just coincidence. The excitement wasn't just about the music. It was about the possibility that Kendrick was orchestrating the rhythm of the game from behind the scenes. Fans began mapping the timeline themselves, cross-referencing studio leaks, social media posts, and interview snippets. One viral thread broke down dates of social media activity and aligned them with reported studio sessions, suggesting that Kendrick had foreknowledge of Drake and J. Cole's creative moves. "Look at this," one fan exclaimed. "Every post lines up perfectly with what came next." He knew. Emotions ran high because the precision of the alleged timeline made it feel almost unbelievable. The fan community erupted into discussions about loyalty, influence, and power in the rap game, dissecting every possible implication of this insight. Meanwhile, the culture's reaction only intensified the story. Reaction channels, podcasts, and live streams began running deep dive segments analyzing the timeline and Kendrick's potential role. One host claimed, "Kendrick isn't just making music, he's playing chess. He knows the moves before they happen." Social media exploded as fans dissected these videos, adding their own theories and alleged evidence. Comment sections were filled with heated debates. Some believed Kendrick was orchestrating moves, others argued it was just foresight and intuition, and a few claimed that the timeline was fabricated. Emotions ran high as the internet became a stage for fans to validate or challenge these narratives. Adding to the intrigue, alleged private sources claimed that Kendrick had been in subtle communication with both Drake and J. Cole, not directly influencing them, but offering insights or suggestions through mutual connections. These whispers suggested a level of behind-the-scenes activity that fans had never considered. Some argued this was a masterclass in strategic networking. Others saw it as a demonstration of how Kendrick maintained relevance and influence without overtly appearing to do so. Fans are shocked because this shifted the perception of his role in the industry. From artist to tactician, someone who not only creates hits but predicts the flow of the culture itself. Meanwhile, the fan communities of Drake and J. Cole reacted in real time to these revelations. Some were skeptical, claiming it was all theory and coincidence. Others were fascinated, diving into interviews, past lyrics, and social media interactions for clues that could support the idea that Kendrick had inside knowledge. The debates were intense, and emotions ran high as fans argued over every piece of evidence. Some posts claimed that Kendrick's subtle references in lyrics hinted at upcoming moves by Drake and Cole, further fueling the idea that he was always 2 steps ahead. The family of fans was left divided, some thrilled at the genius of the alleged strategy, others wary of reading too much into speculation. Insiders allegedly provided more context, suggesting that Kendrick's knowledge wasn't limited to music alone. There were whispers of insight into marketing strategies, timing of album releases, and even the coordination of social media campaigns. If true, this painted a picture of an artist who not only mastered his craft creatively, but also understood the mechanics of influence in a hyper-connected, algorithm-driven music world. Fans are shocked because the timeline wasn't just about predicting songs. It was about predicting the culture itself, an unseen hand guiding the next wave of releases before anyone else even realized it. The timeline that started circulating online became a blueprint for discussion. Each event, every cryptic post, every studio sighting was analyzed for patterns. Fans created visuals comparing dates of studio sessions with the timing of public announcements, teasing out sequences that supposedly proved Kendrick's foresight. Comment sections turned into heated debates. This proves he knew. No way, this is coincidence. He's a genius or a legend, I can't tell which. Emotions ran high because every interpretation seemed plausible, and the more the timeline was dissected, the more the story grew in magnitude. The theory gained further traction when leaked studio snippets began appearing, allegedly showing Kendrick present during conversations about potential features or release strategies. These snippets were analyzed endlessly, with fans scrutinizing every line for hidden meaning. Some suggested Kendrick was hinting at timing, creative direction, or even marketing angles that Drake and Cole would later follow. Fans are shocked because if these leaks were real, they suggested an unprecedented level of foresight and influence. Emotions ran high as the lines between coincidence, intuition, and strategy blurred into one electrifying narrative. As the timeline continued to unfold, fans also noticed patterns in the public reactions of Drake and J. Cole. Allegedly, there were moments in interviews, social media posts, and even award show appearances that seemed to align perfectly with Kendrick's anticipated moves. Some theorists argued that these weren't coincidences, that Kendrick's knowledge allowed him to anticipate responses and plan his own positioning accordingly. Emotions ran high because if true, this wasn't just about music. It was about control, influence, and a mastery of narrative that few had ever claimed in the industry. The fan base was divided between awe, disbelief, and speculation, debating the implications for the future of hip-hop. Adding to the complexity, several insiders allegedly suggested that Kendrick had subtly guided collaborators to react in ways that would amplify the impact of these moves. This introduced layers of intrigue. Was he orchestrating indirectly, or was it merely the natural result of being deeply attuned to industry rhythms? Fans are shocked because it implied a level of calculation that went beyond creative genius. It suggested strategic mastery in shaping the cultural conversation itself. Emotions ran high as fans dissected interactions, social media activity, and even lyrical nuances, trying to uncover evidence of influence. Meanwhile, reaction channels and content creators ran continuous segments analyzing the unfolding events. Some offered timelines that juxtaposed studio leaks with public appearances. Others speculated on potential rivalries or alliances that could have influenced the sequence of events. Each video, meme, and livestream magnified the narrative, keeping it trending and emotionally charged. Fans are shocked because the story had grown beyond music, becoming a real-time mystery where every small detail mattered. Emotions ran high as debates raged online, leaving fans on the edge of their seats. By the end of this first wave of revelations, the timeline had taken on a life of its own. What started as subtle hints and leaked details had become a sprawling narrative of influence, strategy, and speculation. Fans were dissecting every move, every lyric, and every post, trying to figure out what Kendrick really knew and how he seemed to predict Drake and Jay. Cole's next steps. The family of fans was left divided, some thrilled by the alleged genius, others cautious, unwilling to jump to conclusions without concrete evidence. Emotions ran high because the story wasn't just entertaining. It was challenging the way fans understood the music industry, influence, and creative foresight. The timeline also sparked debates about legacy. Fans argued about Kendrick's role in shaping not just his own career, but the broader trajectories of two of the biggest names in rap. Was he influencing outcomes, observing and anticipating, or was it all coincidence amplified by selective attention? Fans are shocked because it suggested a level of subtle power that few artists are recognized for publicly. Emotions ran high as theories multiplied, and the narrative continued to expand, setting the stage for what would become one of the most compelling fan discussions in recent memory. By tracing the sequence of events, connecting social media activity, studio leaks, and lyrical hints, fans felt they were uncovering a story that had been hidden in plain sight. Every post and interview seemed to confirm what the timeline suggested. Kendrick was always ahead of the game, and Drake and J. Cole were moving within a cultural space he had already mapped out. Emotions ran high because it felt like a masterclass in foresight, strategy, and influence. Fans are shocked because the narrative reframed the entire conversation around power, creativity, and visibility in the modern rap game. By the conclusion of this initial phase, it was clear that the timeline had shifted the way fans viewed the relationship between these three artists. The story had evolved into a saga of strategy, foresight, and cultural influence, leaving fans debating, dissecting, and theorizing at every turn. Emotions ran high, loyalties were tested, and the family of fans was left divided, unsure what was real, what was orchestrated, and what was yet to unfold. Fans are shocked because the timeline suggested that Kendrick's influence and understanding of the game went far beyond what anyone had ever seen, setting the stage for the next dramatic twists in the story. As the timeline continued to gain traction online, the intensity of fan scrutiny skyrocketed. Every move, every snippet, and every social media post from Kendrick, Drake, and J. Cole was suddenly being analyzed through a new lens. Allegedly, Kendrick's foresight wasn't just about anticipating musical releases. Sources claimed he had a pulse on marketing strategies, collaboration decisions, and even the timing of public appearances. Fans are shocked because if true, this wasn't just about being ahead creatively. It was about shaping the narrative and controlling how the public experienced major moves in hip-hop. Emotions ran high as fans debated whether this level of foresight was instinctive genius or deliberate planning. One viral theory circulating online claimed that Kendrick had quietly advised mutual collaborators on optimal release windows, without directly involving Drake or Jay. Cole, he knew when a song drop would make the most impact, one alleged insider said. Every move seemed to align perfectly with what he anticipated from the other two. Fans immediately began tracing patterns in release dates, Instagram posts, and even cryptic tweets, claiming that every alignment was proof of Kendrick's behind-the-scenes influence. Emotions ran high because the alleged precision of the timeline suggested an almost preternatural ability to anticipate outcomes, turning Kendrick into a figure whose strategic mastery was as compelling as his artistry. Adding fuel to the fire, social media reaction channels began dissecting supposed Easter eggs in lyrics. One viral breakdown compared Kendrick's recent verses to Drake and Jay, Cole's upcoming releases, pointing out subtle lyrical foreshadowing that fans claimed confirmed Kendrick's predictive abilities. Comment sections exploded with speculation. Did y'all hear that line? He knew. He's literally playing 4D chess while everyone else plays checkers. The timing doesn't lie, this is next-level strategy. Emotions ran high as fans debated whether these lyrical connections were intentional clues or coincidences amplified by confirmation bias. The family of fans was left divided, with some seeing genius, others calling it overanalysis. The alleged insider sources didn't stop there. Rumors began circulating that Kendrick's studio sessions had included private brainstorming meetings where the timing and flow of upcoming projects by Drake and Cole were discussed. While fans speculated endlessly, some claimed that these meetings were strategic, aiming to influence the creative energy around certain releases without overtly taking credit. Fans are shocked because this implied that Kendrick was operating on multiple planes simultaneously, creating music while subtly predicting and shaping the moves of two other industry heavyweights. Emotions ran high as the public tried to reconcile the quiet genius of foresight with the visible output of tracks and features. As attention intensified, some fans began creating detailed visual timelines, piecing together social media posts, interview dates, and studio sightings. The patterns they claimed to see were astonishing. The timing of Kendrick's own releases appeared to align with what Drake and Cole were about to announce or drop. Some theorists even suggested that subtle social media cues, an emoji here, a story there, acted as signals to insiders or collaborators. Fans are shocked because the apparent synchronicity suggested that what seemed spontaneous was actually carefully observed, orchestrated, or anticipated. Emotions ran high as these theories spread across fan pages and YouTube breakdowns, adding to the frenzy. Meanwhile, the reactions from Drake and J. Cole circles added another layer of intrigue. Allegedly, close associates were aware that Kendrick had insight into upcoming moves, leading to speculation that some responses and appearances were strategically crafted. Some fan theories argued that this awareness influenced their social media activity, interview soundbites, and even feature choices. Emotions ran high as fans debated whether Kendrick was gently guiding outcomes, anticipating them, or simply observing while remaining untouchable in his own lane. The family of fans was left divided because every interpretation seemed plausible, and nothing about the sequence of events felt straightforward. Adding even more drama, leaked screenshots and alleged insider messages surfaced online, fueling the idea that Kendrick's predictive abilities extended beyond creative decisions into business strategy. Some posts claimed that he knew about potential label negotiations, partnership opportunities, and feature alignments, allowing him to position his own projects advantageously. Fans are shocked because this painted Kendrick not just as an artistic visionary, but also as a master strategist, whose understanding of timing and perception gave him a unique edge in the industry. Emotions ran high because the implications suggested a level of influence that fans had never fully appreciated before. Online theorists also began revisiting past moments, claiming they now had evidence that confirmed the timeline's credibility. Old interviews, throwback social media posts, and cryptic tweets were interpreted as proof that Kendrick had anticipated major moves for months, if not years. Some argued that these retrospective connections revealed a pattern of genius foresight that went largely unnoticed until now. Fans are shocked because these analyses reframed Kendrick's career, suggesting that his public moves were only the tip of the iceberg, while his understanding of timing and influence had quietly shaped the rap landscape. Emotions ran high as the discussion evolved into a mix of admiration, conspiracy, and obsession with decoding every action. Content creators on YouTube and TikTok fueled the frenzy further, producing video breakdowns claiming that the timeline proved Kendrick's mastery. Each video dissected studio visits, subtle gestures, and lyrical references, constructing a narrative in which Kendrick consistently predicted the next moves of Drake and J. Cole. Fans immediately jumped in with their own analyses, screenshots, and threads supporting or disputing the claims. Emotions ran high as speculation spread like wildfire, turning what could have been a small insider story into a full-blown cultural phenomenon. The family of fans was divided between those celebrating Kendrick's alleged foresight and those wary of overhyping coincidences. As the timeline unfolded, alleged collaborators and insiders reportedly weighed in. Some hinted that Kendrick had influence in indirect ways, nudging conversations, suggesting approaches, or simply maintaining awareness of what the others were planning. Fans began connecting this alleged behind-the-scenes activity to apparent synchronicities in social media, interviews, and track drops. The perception that Kendrick might be orchestrating or predicting moves at this level was thrilling for many fans and hard to ignore. Fans are shocked because it suggested a sophistication in planning and awareness rarely attributed publicly to an artist, and emotions ran high as every new claim seemed to reinforce the theory. Meanwhile, the social media narrative continued to escalate. Reaction channels turned the timeline into a serialized saga, dissecting every detail, theorizing about hidden clues, and debating the meaning behind each post. Fans across platforms were drawn into the discussion, contributing their own interpretations and reinforcing the idea that Kendrick's insight was both deliberate and impactful. Emotions ran high as the timeline became less about individual events and more about a story of influence, anticipation, and strategic awareness. The family of fans remained divided, with some convinced of Kendrick's genius and others urging caution, wary of reading too much into speculation. Adding another twist, some alleged insiders claimed that Kendrick's foresight extended to predicting the emotional and fan reactions to Drake and J. Cole's moves. If true, this meant he could anticipate not only the timing of projects, but also how the culture would respond. Fans immediately ran with this theory, dissecting reactions to track releases, award show appearances, and social media activity, claiming that everything aligned with Kendrick's predictions. Fans are shocked because this suggested a level of mastery beyond music itself, blending creative intuition with cultural insight. Emotions ran high as the timeline and alleged foresight created a real-time narrative that captivated fans across every platform. The story reached fever pitch when reaction channels claimed the timeline revealed indirect influence, that Kendrick's subtle actions might have shaped certain decisions by Drake and J. Cole. While nothing was confirmed, fans speculated endlessly, debating whether this implied mentorship, collaboration, or strategic manipulation. Emotions ran high because the stakes seemed monumental, suggesting an unseen hand guiding major moves in the rap game. The family of fans was left divided as discussions spanned admiration, doubt, and the thrill of uncovering hidden connections. By this stage, the timeline had become a cultural touchstone. Fans dissected every post, every lyric, every studio sighting for evidence that supported the narrative. Social media, reaction channels, and live streams all contributed to the intensity, turning the story into a viral phenomenon. Fans are shocked because what began as subtle observations had become a multi-layered saga about influence, foresight, and power. Emotions ran high, and the family of fans remained captivated, unable to look away as each new detail seemed to confirm the idea that Kendrick knew what was coming before anyone else did. In the end, the narrative had grown far beyond simple speculation. What started as an alleged timeline of events had become a sprawling saga of influence, anticipation, and strategy. Fans dissected, debated, and theorized with fervor, while the supposed genius of Kendrick's foresight took center stage. Emotions ran high, alliances among fans were tested, and the family of followers remained divided, some awed by the alleged genius, others skeptical but intrigued. Fans are shocked because the timeline suggested a level of mastery in understanding both artistry and culture that few could imagine, leaving the stage set for even more dramatic twists in the saga to come. As the narrative deepened, the timeline became more intricate, revealing alleged layers of foresight, strategy, and influence that fans had only begun to speculate about. Sources claimed that Kendrick Lamar had not only anticipated moves by Drake and J. Cole, but had also subtly shaped how their releases were perceived, from album teasers to social media engagement. Fans are shocked because the implications suggested Kendrick wasn't just an observer or a competitor. He was allegedly orchestrating elements of the narrative in real time, understanding how fans, media, and industry players would react before anything went public. Emotions ran high as theories about this mastermind influence circulated across forums, YouTube channels, and social media threads. The story gained momentum when alleged insiders suggested Kendrick had communicated indirectly with mutual collaborators and label executives. These subtle exchanges supposedly allowed him to anticipate promotional strategies, timing, and even certain creative decisions without appearing directly involved. Fans dissected cryptic messages, leaked screenshots, and timeline overlaps, claiming each aligned perfectly with later public moves by Drake and J. Cole. Emotions ran high as the idea of such calculated foresight fueled speculation, making it seem as though every move was part of a grand design orchestrated by Kendrick, who fans now viewed as the ultimate strategist behind the scenes. In response, fan communities of Drake and J. Cole began theorizing about potential reactions from the artists themselves. Some claimed that Kendrick's awareness influenced not only creative output, but also how Drake and Cole framed their public interactions. Allegedly, subtle hints in interviews, cryptic tweets, and social media stories suggested that both artists were aware of Kendrick's foresight and adjusted their strategy accordingly. Fans are shocked because this implied an almost invisible power dynamic, that Kendrick's insight affected decisions, shaping the trajectory of the rap landscape without him needing to make overt moves. Emotions ran high as debates raged over whether this influence was intentional or simply a natural result of timing and industry intuition. Adding a dramatic layer, reaction channels began linking Kendrick's recent lyrics to the timeline of anticipated moves. Analysts pointed out potential references in tracks that could hint at upcoming releases, collaborations, or even public statements. Fans immediately began dissecting every verse, pointing to subtle word choices, references, and timing that they claimed confirmed Kendrick's foresight. Look at the lyric here, he literally called it months ago. One viral thread claimed. Emotions ran high as online communities debated whether these lyrical Easter eggs were intentional foreshadowing or simply coincidence, further deepening the intrigue surrounding the timeline. Fans are shocked because the idea that Kendrick could predict events in the industry added an almost mythical layer to his public persona. Meanwhile, the alleged timeline included moments when studio sightings, social media activity, and public appearances seemed to align perfectly with Kendrick's awareness of future moves. Insider accounts claimed that even when Kendrick wasn't directly in the room, his influence could be felt through the decisions of those around him. Fans analyzed Instagram stories, subtle nods during interviews, and behind-the-scenes footage, claiming that everything fit into a pattern of strategic anticipation. Emotions ran high because this alleged omniscience challenged the usual narratives of competition in hip-hop, suggesting that Kendrick operated on an entirely different level of awareness and influence. The family of fans remained captivated, divided between those who believed in the genius behind the timeline and those who were cautious about drawing definitive conclusions. The alleged insider accounts also hinted at complex interactions between Kendrick and Drake regarding collaboration timing. Some sources claimed that Kendrick anticipated not only the creative direction of Drake's upcoming projects, but also the timing of feature announcements and social media teases. Fans immediately connected these claims with public posts, noting that certain releases seemed to unfold exactly as the timeline had predicted. Emotions ran high because this level of foresight suggested that Kendrick's understanding of industry rhythms extended far beyond music itself, encompassing timing, perception, and cultural impact. Fans are shocked because it suggested a level of mastery in orchestrating not just sound, but influence over the narrative of hip-hop itself. Meanwhile, speculation surrounding J. Cole added another layer of complexity. Alleged insiders suggested that Kendrick had insight into Cole's release strategy and potential collaborations, predicting not only track selection, but also marketing campaigns. Fans dissected interviews, snippets, and social media activity, claiming that every step aligned with the timeline, reinforcing the idea that Kendrick had foreknowledge of multiple angles. Emotions ran high as the theory gained traction, fueling viral videos and discussion threads. Fans are shocked because the alleged precision suggested an uncanny understanding of timing, influence, and the behavior of fellow artists in an industry known for unpredictability. The growing intensity of fan analysis led to the creation of detailed visual timelines, mapping every studio session, social media post, and lyrical release. Some claimed that Kendrick's own album drops and track releases were strategically timed to coincide with anticipated moves by Drake and J. Cole, amplifying his influence over the narrative. Fans engaged in heated debates over whether these alignments were deliberate or merely coincidence. Emotions ran high as the timeline became a digital puzzle, with each piece interpreted as proof of Kendrick's alleged strategic genius. The family of fans was divided, with some seeing a mastermind at work and others cautioning that confirmation bias could be shaping interpretations. As the story progressed, content creators amplified the drama. YouTube breakdowns and TikTok analyses framed Kendrick as the unseen chess player, predicting moves and anticipating responses from the other two rap giants. Each viral video dissected snippets of social media activity, interviews, and studio sightings, constructing a narrative in which Kendrick's foresight appeared nearly supernatural. Fans are shocked because the story went beyond music speculation. It became a cultural phenomenon, turning the timeline into a focal point for discussions about strategy, influence, and creative genius. Emotions ran high as fan debates escalated, spanning multiple platforms and generating intense engagement. Alleged screenshots of private messages and studio chatter circulated online, claiming to provide additional proof that Kendrick had foreknowledge of key decisions. While authenticity was unverified, fans treated these leaks as confirmation of the larger narrative. Each new alleged detail seemed to reinforce the notion that Kendrick's awareness and subtle influence extended across multiple facets of the music industry. Emotions ran high because it painted a picture of an artist who not only excelled creatively, but also operated with strategic foresight that shaped how the culture experienced major releases. Fans are shocked because these claims redefine perceptions of influence and power in the rap game. Meanwhile, reaction channels began framing the timeline as part of a larger saga about foresight, influence, and legacy. Analysts discussed the implications for Kendrick's career, speculating on how these strategic moves might elevate his status not just as an artist, but as a master tactician within the industry. Fans dissected every tweet, lyric, and post for hidden meaning, while live-stream discussions drew thousands of viewers dissecting every possible connection. Emotions ran high as the story expanded from speculation into a full-blown cultural event. Fans are shocked because the alleged foresight positioned Kendrick as someone whose influence could subtly steer major events without direct intervention. Adding more layers, some theorists claimed that Kendrick's understanding of fan behavior played a crucial role in the timing of releases. Alleged insider reports suggested he anticipated reactions to certain tracks, social media posts, and collaborations, effectively predicting how audiences would respond before moves were made public. Fans immediately connected these ideas to viral reactions, trending hashtags, and social media engagement patterns. Emotions ran high as the narrative suggested that Kendrick's foresight extended not only to creative output, but also to controlling how fans perceived and engaged with major moments in hip-hop. Fans are shocked because it positioned him as both artist and strategist, blending creative genius with cultural insight. The timeline also highlighted moments of indirect influence. Allegedly, Kendrick's presence in collaborative spaces, even when not actively participating, allowed him to anticipate and shape outcomes subtly. Fans dissected these interactions, claiming that body language, cryptic comments, and even social media nods hinted at knowledge of future moves. Emotions ran high as each new detail seemed to reinforce the narrative, creating a sense of awe around Kendrick's alleged ability to predict and shape events before they unfolded. Fans are shocked because the precision of the timeline suggested a level of mastery that few could have imagined, making every action, post, and lyric potentially significant. By this stage, the narrative had taken on almost mythic proportions. The timeline had evolved into a multi-layered story of foresight, strategy, and cultural influence, with fans analyzing and debating every possible detail. Allegedly, Kendrick's predictive awareness affected the decisions of Drake and J. Cole, while also shaping fan perception, social media engagement, and industry responses. Emotions ran high because the story felt like an intricate puzzle, with each piece offering a glimpse into a genius-level understanding of the music industry. Fans are shocked because the narrative reframed how influence, strategy, and artistry intersect in modern hip-hop. As online discussion intensified, some fans even speculated about hidden collaborations or upcoming releases that could be influenced by the timeline. Each rumor, screenshot, and lyrical hint was dissected for patterns, fueling further speculation about Kendrick's foresight and strategic thinking. Emotions ran high as the narrative grew, with fan communities arguing passionately over whether these alleged predictions were real or imagined. Fans are shocked because the unfolding story suggested that Kendrick's mastery over timing, influence, and culture went far beyond anything publicly acknowledged, leaving the fan base captivated and divided. By the end of this period, the timeline had transformed into a sprawling saga that combined elements of mystery, strategy, and musical genius. Alleged insights, leaked messages, and social media analysis painted Kendrick as a figure operating on multiple levels, predicting, anticipating, and subtly guiding the moves of two of hip-hop's biggest stars. Fans are shocked because the story challenged conventional narratives about competition and collaboration, suggesting a level of strategic foresight few had ever considered. Emotions ran high, and the family of fans remained divided, debating the implications of every revelation and eagerly anticipating the next twist in this unfolding drama. As the saga intensified, the focus shifted to the public aftermath of the alleged timeline, and how it seemingly affected every interaction between Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and J. Cole. Fans scrutinized every public appearance, interview, and cryptic social media post, claiming they could see the ripple effects of Kendrick's foresight at work. Allegedly, even the timing of award show appearances and talk show interviews had been subtly influenced, suggesting that Kendrick not only predicted their moves, but shaped how fans and the media consumed them. Emotions ran high as speculation turned into full-blown debates over whether the timeline represented genius-level strategy or coincidental alignment. Reaction, channels, and fan creators dissected supposed Easter eggs in Kendrick's latest visuals and lyrics, pointing to lines that allegedly referenced upcoming Drake and J. Cole releases. Each analysis fueled the frenzy, with fans posting screenshots, timestamp posts, and lyric breakdowns to reinforce the narrative. Some even claimed that subtle gestures, a nod, a hand movement, a glance contained hidden meaning, confirming Kendrick's predictive awareness. Fans are shocked because what appeared to be casual creative choices suddenly took on the weight of deliberate foreshadowing. Emotions ran high as viewers argued whether these clues were intentional or merely coincidences magnified by hindsight. Meanwhile, alleged insider accounts suggested that Kendrick's influence extended to the collaborative environment in which Drake and Cole were working. Sources claimed that mutual producers, studio engineers, and songwriters had been tipped off to certain directions, allegedly based on Kendrick's understanding of how the project should unfold. Fans immediately theorized that even without direct intervention, Kendrick's awareness allowed him to guide the energy of the studio space and indirectly influence the outcomes. Emotions ran high as the community debated whether this constituted orchestration, mentorship, or a natural result of industry savvy. Fans are shocked because it portrayed Kendrick as a subtle but omnipresent force in shaping creative decisions. Adding a layer of intrigue, the timeline allegedly revealed that Kendrick was aware of social media reactions and fan sentiment before it even occurred. Analysts pointed to trending topics, viral clips, and hashtag activity, suggesting that Kendrick could anticipate which moments would go viral, which reactions would dominate the conversation, and how to strategically position himself in relation to Drake and Cole. Fans dissected every post and story, claiming that the alignment of events supported the idea of an almost prescient awareness. Emotions ran high because this implied a mastery of both artistry and cultural perception, blending creative genius with strategic foresight. Fans are shocked because the idea of anticipating not just moves, but reactions elevated the narrative into almost mythic territory. Alleged leaked messages and studio snippets added fuel to the frenzy, seemingly supporting the notion that Kendrick had foreknowledge of key developments. Some snippets allegedly revealed discussions about timing, feature placements, and marketing strategies. Fans immediately connected these pieces with the public timeline, claiming that they confirmed the narrative that Kendrick was operating several steps ahead. Emotions ran high as each new alleged detail seemed to reinforce the notion of strategic foresight, deepening fascination and speculation. Fans are shocked because it reframed Kendrick's public persona, portraying him as a figure whose influence extended far beyond the visible scope of his music. In the public sphere, reactions from Drake and J. Cole fans added drama. Some were skeptical, insisting that coincidences were being overblown. Others embraced the idea of Kendrick as a cultural strategist, analyzing every minor detail for evidence. Online debates grew heated, with fans dissecting interviews, lyrics, and social media posts for subtle nods or contradictions. Emotions ran high because the timeline had transformed casual fandom into active investigation, and every perceived alignment became evidence supporting or refuting Kendrick's alleged foresight. Fans are shocked because the narrative turned the industry's biggest names into players in a game orchestrated by a third party. Meanwhile, social media exploded with memes, videos, and speculation, turning the timeline into a viral phenomenon. Reaction channels ran hour-long breakdowns, TikTokers created theory threads, and forums buzzed with speculation. Fans dissected every possible angle, from lyrics to emojis, studio sightings to interview phrasing, as if decoding a master plan. Emotions ran high because the intensity of fan engagement reflected both curiosity and obsession. Fans are shocked because the timeline, which started as a simple collection of events, had grown into a cultural touchstone, influencing how millions perceived major figures in hip-hop. Adding further drama, alleged insider accounts claimed that Kendrick's influence extended even to subtle marketing strategies. Whether it was the timing of teaser releases, cryptic Instagram posts, or collaborations, the narrative suggested that Kendrick's awareness allowed him to anticipate the trajectory of not only Drake and Cole's projects, but also the fan response and media coverage. Fans dissected these moments in real time, comparing them with timeline predictions and theorizing about whether each action was deliberate or simply fortuitous. Emotions ran high as the discussion blended music analysis, strategy speculation, and cultural commentary. Fans are shocked because the alleged mastery suggested a level of foresight and influence rarely seen in the modern music industry. The timeline also highlighted potential emotional and relational dynamics among the three artists. Allegedly, Kendrick's knowledge and anticipation created tension, curiosity, and respect in equal measure. Fans speculated on private interactions, subtle social cues, and public appearances that hinted at awareness and influence behind the scenes. Emotions ran high as these interpretations fueled speculation about unseen dynamics, alliances, and strategic positioning. Fans are shocked because it suggested that behind the public rivalry or camaraderie lay a complex network of foresight, anticipation, and cultural calculation. Meanwhile, viral content creators continued to fan the flames. Long-form breakdowns, live-stream discussions, and visual timelines dissected the unfolding story with precision, combining alleged evidence with interpretive analysis. Every new detail sparked debates over whether Kendrick's foresight was strategic, coincidental, or simply genius intuition. Fans participated actively, posting theories, screenshots, and cross-references to bolster or refute the narrative. Emotions ran high because the timeline had grown into a living document of analysis, speculation, and cultural fascination. Fans are shocked because the narrative transformed seemingly ordinary interactions into evidence of an almost prophetic understanding of the industry. Allegedly, Kendrick's influence extended into subtle but impactful studio guidance. Reports claimed that producers, collaborators, and insiders had been given nudges or subtle cues that aligned with Kendrick's understanding of future moves. Fans speculated endlessly about whether these influences shaped the music, the collaborations, or even the public perception of Drake and Cole's work. Emotions ran high as discussions spanned platforms, creating a multi-layered dialogue about strategy, influence, and artistry. Fans are shocked because it positioned Kendrick as not only a creator, but also a quiet architect behind some of the biggest movements in contemporary hip-hop. The social media narrative intensified further when viral posts highlighted coincidences in release timing, interview phrasing, and lyrical hints. Fans argued that these moments were proof of Kendrick's foresight, creating heated debates and discussions across YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Allegedly, even seemingly minor details like the order of tracklists, behind-the-scenes footage, or studio settings were interpreted as evidence supporting the timeline. Emotions ran high as fans dissected every interaction, turning speculation into a participatory investigation. Fans are shocked because the alleged foresight suggested that Kendrick was operating at a level of strategic awareness rarely documented publicly. As the saga progressed, the family of fans became increasingly divided. Some celebrated Kendrick's alleged genius, dissecting every lyric, post, and studio, citing as a clue to his predictive awareness. Others warned against overanalysis, cautioning that the timeline might be coincidental or selectively curated. Emotions ran high because the narrative had become deeply personal to fans, merging admiration, obsession, and speculation. Fans are shocked because the story had transcended music, creating a real-time cultural investigation into influence, foresight, and strategy within the hip-hop world. Meanwhile, alleged insider leaks continued to surface, fueling further speculation. Screenshots, alleged text exchanges, and behind-the-scenes accounts suggested that Kendrick's influence extended beyond music, affecting timing, marketing, and even audience perception. Fans connected these alleged pieces with the timeline, claiming they provided additional proof of his foresight. Emotions ran high because each new detail seemed to confirm the narrative, reinforcing the perception of Kendrick as a master strategist in both creative and cultural spheres. Fans are shocked because this narrative reframed how influence is perceived in the industry, elevating strategic awareness to an almost legendary status. By the conclusion of this phase, the timeline had evolved into a sprawling narrative of foresight, influence, and subtle orchestration. Fans had dissected every detail, debated every claim, and created visual guides mapping out connections and patterns. Allegedly, Kendrick's predictive awareness had shaped creative and strategic decisions across multiple levels, influencing public perception, industry response, and even fan engagement. Emotions ran high as fans tried to reconcile speculation with observation, and the family of followers remained divided, awed, skeptical, and utterly captivated. Fans are shocked because what began as an alleged collection of events had transformed into a multi-layered saga that redefined understanding of artistry, influence, and foresight in hip-hop. All right, now that you've seen the full saga unfold, here's the moment to lock in your thoughts and be part of the conversation. What do you think? Is Kendrick really playing 4D chess behind the scenes, predicting every move Drake and Cole make, or is this just a crazy coincidence blown up by fans and reaction channels? We've seen the screenshots, the studio sightings, the lyrical breakdowns, and the timeline connections. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Drop your hottest takes in the comments, tell us what you believe happened, and share any other hidden details you might have noticed. If you've been glued to this story and don't want to miss the next twist in hip-hop's most talked about timelines, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe so you're front row for every update. And don't sleep on notifications, click that bell so you're instantly alerted when we break the next part of this saga. Because trust us, it's about to get even crazier. Fans are shocked, emotions are running wild, and the story isn't over yet, we're just getting started. So jump into the comments, share your theories, tag your friends, and let's keep this debate lit. Because in the world of hip-hop, nothing is ever really what it seems. Now the question is, did Kendrick actually know, or are we all just reading too much into the timeline? The ball, S in your court, we want to hear it all. We want to hear it all.